So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Joe Biden urging Boris Johnson not to rip up the Northern Ireland Protocol. Joe Biden, who very much seems to see himself as Irish American. I think his father or his grandfather were Irish. Article from Wednesday, the 11th of May. Biden has urged Boris not to walk away unilaterally from the protocol, as he pointedly called on the Prime Minister to show leadership and continue negotiations. Ironically, Johnson claims to be showing leadership on Ukraine, but can't do so on Northern Ireland. The White House made clear its opposition to the strategy in its first public comments, since the Times revealed ministers had given up on talks with Brussels. The best path forward is a pragmatic one that requires courage, cooperation and leadership, a spokeswoman for the White House said. We know Rishi Neal is being flown out, I think, to talk to MPs in the UK, so we'll keep an eye out for him. She says, we urge the parties to continue engaging in dialogue to resolve differences and bring negotiations to a successful conclusion, which I just don't think will happen at this point. The comments come ahead of a meeting in Washington this week between White House officials and the genius Conor Burns, a key ally of the Prime Minister, who's on the envoy on the Northern Ireland Protocol. Burns was dispatched to Washington in an attempt to sell the government strategy to Biden before a formal announcement of the plan next week. Well, clearly Burns has not done a very good job. The diplomatic mission was jeopardised when the UK plans were leaked. I wonder who leaked them, blindsiding the State Department, which had been unaware that the government was planning to call time on negotiations. I wonder who leaked them, because it very much feels like it's Liz Truss briefing the media, or at least someone in her department may be briefing the media on this one. We don't know who's leaking this stuff. Sources in London claim that Burns, a junior minister in the Northern Ireland office, was given a new title in order to get access to the senior members of the administration, which is ridiculous that they had to do this, because they're so desperate for this man to talk to the people in America over this, because he wants Joe Biden on side, or at least not to intervene when we do stupid stuff, because the US is one of our biggest trading partners. I think it's the biggest single trading partner as a country. Biden, who has maintained close ties to Ireland, and in his first statement to the BBC said, "I'm Irish," has repeatedly made clear that he believes the protocol is integral to protecting the Good Friday Agreement, of which the US is a guarantor. And so long as Biden holds this belief that the Northern Ireland Protocol is integral to protecting the Good Friday Agreement, when and if the UK gets rid of the Northern Ireland Protocol, they will look like they are jeopardising the Good Friday Agreement. And there are Americans in both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party who will not like this. And I don't know what that would mean. Will they just denounce us? Will they put tariffs on us? Will they put sanctions on us? I don't know. Maybe it'll just depend on the fallout in Northern Ireland, what they will do. In recent months, the US has been putting pressure on France and Germany to show flexibility in the implementation of the agreement in order to broker a compromise. The problem is they have been doing that, though. The Commission, the EU Parliament, EU member states have been fairly flexible on aspects of the protocol, regards to medicines, and amongst other things. But the UK are the ones not showing flexibility. British officials are understood to be dispatched to Washington to explain the UK proposals and argue that they are legal. I mean, good luck with that, because like I said, the Americans, there's a lot of sharks in America who will rip these people apart when they try and argue this stuff is legal, and that they are designed to protect the Good Friday Agreement, which is not, though, because that border has to go somewhere. That's the problem. The Brexit that we took means there has to be a trade border somewhere. Where are you going to put it? That's the question. One government figure said the UK was preparing to carry on talking to the EU while the legislation overriding key elements of the protocol was debated in Parliament, very similar to the UK's internal market bill at the time, if you guys remember. They said they were not giving up on negotiations, but they keep saying they are, but needed a parallel track of unilateral action. So essentially saying a two-pronged attack. One is, we'll continue talking with you, but at the same time we need to make it so when we want to take unilateral action, we can. European leaders have strongly attacked the UK move. Olaf Scholz, the German Chancellor, told Johnson not to scrap or break or change in any way the protocol, which was signed by the Prime Minister in 2019, because in reality, in my opinion at least, Johnson doesn't have a mandate to do this anyways. Micheál Martin, the Irish Prime Minister, condemned the plan, said it would destabilise the peace process, which it absolutely would do, absolutely destroy it. Peace in Northern Ireland is very fragile. It's not been that long. Alexander De Croo, the Prime Minister of Belgium, told Johnson, "Don't touch this. No, can't touch this." Truss, the Foreign Secretary, will speak to her counterpart Šefčovič. Apparently those talks did not go well. I'll cover that separately. Essentially, it was Truss saying, you need to be more flexible and, change stuff. Šefčovič saying, I don't have a mandate to do this. Liz Truss saying, that's a shame. I'll cover that at some point. I've got a lot to go through. Brussels understood to be considering retaliatory measures that should be opposed, tariffs or sanctions. This could include tariffs on UK exports, suspension of the TCA. Johnson also faces obstacles in getting the plan through Parliament, with senior Tories warning he would face a rebellion. I don't know, because again, he's got a stonking majority, absolute stonking majority. I don't know if they would rebel enough in numbers. It would need something like a 40+ rebellion or something insane. Even if it gets through the Commons, it will be mullered in the Lords, one former minister said, because it doesn't have they don't have a mandate to do this. But then again, I think they managed to get the internal market bill through, okay. But then again, they did change part of it, so I don't know. Another added, there are a lot of colleagues who will not support this. We can't go around ripping up international agreements that we don't like. And, one kind of further point on the Lords is that they don't have to vote against it. They can just delay it loads. That's what they can do. They can push it into the long grass, essentially. Theresa May, the former Prime Minister, said Johnson must consider what such a move would say about the UK and its willingness to abide by treaties. Could you imagine, right? Picture this, the war in Ukraine ends, Russia, goes the negotiations, right? They get a treaty, right? And then a few months later, Russia, actually, do you know what? We changed our minds, rips up the agreement and continues to invade Ukraine again. Could you imagine such a scenario? Once you set a precedent for constantly breaking international law and treaties, that's what happened. We go back to the days of piracy. Simon Hoare, the Conservative chairman of Northern Ireland Select Committee, said no honourable country should act unilaterally by breaking an international agreement, but the UK has no honour. Truss has drawn up draft legislation that would unilaterally remove the need for checks on goods being sent from Britain for use in Northern Ireland. The reason what they're planning on doing is trying to avoid getting struck down in the British courts. That's what they're desperate to do. It would also allow businesses to disregard EU rules and regulations, and would take away the power for the European Court of Justice to rule on issues relating to Northern Ireland. Now that's more interesting for me in the sense of what happens is if we pass this bill, right, we get rid of the ECJ in Northern Ireland, then the court case goes to the ECJ, and the ECJ say the UK in the wrong, but then the UK would try and argue, actually you have no jurisdiction here because of the Internal Market Bill 2 or something ridiculous like that. Wouldn't that be crazy if the UK goes down that route? She wants to announce the bill as early as next week, despite claims by the government last week that it wanted to give negotiations with the EU one last chance, which they keep saying that, one last chance, one more chance, one more time. You can't keep saying that. The threats are empty. One senior government source accused Truss of going too hard, too fast, too early, and warned that she risked the strategy backfiring. That's not really true though, is it? Because they've been talking for months. They've been talking since she became Brexit Minister in December. So, to argue she's gone too fast, too early, doesn't make sense. Truss rejected proposals to address the government's concerns, saying they take us backwards, even though Truss doesn't actually mention what the EU proposals were that would take us, quote, backwards. As she argued against introducing more checks, paperwork and disruption, which I doubt the EU right now would be saying, do you know what would solve this? More paperwork and checks. It's ridiculous, honestly. The Foreign Office said under EU proposals suggested in October, trading arrangements could worsen and everyday items could disappear from the shelves. I mean, could they? I don't know what proposal she's talking about, and the article doesn't mention it either. As far as I'm aware, in October they didn't mention anything that would make the checks in the Irish Sea more stringent. She says prices have risen, trade is being badly disrupted, and the people of Northern Ireland are subject to different laws now. It's very odd. It's very odd because the on average the goods in Northern Ireland are actually 8% cheaper than in GB. Bit embarrassing. I'll talk about that in a separate video. It's the DP debunked by their own study. It's hilarious. I'll talk about that at some point. But the answer cannot be more checks, paperwork, and disruption, which is true to an extent. But the protocol isn't even implemented in its entirety, so it just doesn't make sense. She said, our preference has always been for a negotiated solution, but we're not shy away from taking unilateral action. It feels like Groundhog Day, because we've talked about all this stuff before. But I can imagine Joe Biden saying, come on, Jack. Come on, man. You know the thing. I can't do a Biden accent. But, Joe Biden's going to be watching this very, very carefully. And I just wonder what the Americans are thinking right now. If I've got any American people in the audience, howdy. But especially any Irish Americans, what do you guys think right now? What's going on over there? Rishi Neal's been deployed, but aside from him, what else is going on? Macron looks comical in this picture, I can't lie. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Hopefully this situation ends soon, because I'm drowning in articles and situations of disaster for Northern Ireland. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you next time.